Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for your patience. We now move on to the main event. Now, I'm Michael Hayman. I'm one of the co-founders of Startup Britain. It's a great pleasure for me, actually, to be here today. I'm a son of the county. I've even worn my white rose cufflinks to be back here in Leeds. We founded Startup Britain just 10 months ago in March. With an urgency, as entrepreneurs tend to do. We thought that it was time for an organisation by entrepreneurs and for entrepreneurs. And we came together to really solve a specific problem. We had read a statistic that 50% of the nation dreamed about owning and starting their own business, but only 5.8% actually did it. So that ambition gap was a major part of what we wanted to do, to encourage people to think about starting their own business, to actually start that business or to grow that business, to come up with a practical campaign to celebrate, to inspire, and to accelerate entrepreneurs in the UK. And since we started, we've engaged with 160,000 people across the country through bus tours, through our internet campaigns, through all of the things that we tried to do to bring the attention, if you like, to shine a spotlight on the cause of Britain's entrepreneurs. We've worked with partners. We've funded ourselves through the private sector. We have some fantastic partners who've come to play their part in supporting Britain's entrepreneurs. And we've also worked with the public sector and most specifically with government. Government has been an enthusiastic and fantastic supporter of Startup Britain. Part of that you're going to hear about today in terms of the campaign that we're going to be launching this morning. But our special guest this morning launched Startup Britain in March at Microsoft, and since then has been a fantastic supporter and friend to our campaign. So it's with a very great pleasure and a great honour indeed to welcome the Prime Minister, David Cameron. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry to break up the speed networking. That sounds like a lot more fun than listening to a speech from me. I think we probably introduced speed networking into the European Union, and then those council meetings, instead of being 9-hour dinners, we could probably crack on and get them done in 90 minutes. Delighted to be here and delighted to be launching this initiative. I said earlier this month that 2012 has got to be the year when we go for it, the year that we light new fires of ambition in our economy, the year when we get behind Britain's grafters, doers, hard workers and entrepreneurs. This isn't something we'd quite like to do. This is something we've absolutely got to do because enterprise is critical to this country's future. As so often, Winston Churchill put it best. He said some people regard private enterprise as a predatory tiger that needs to be shot. Others look on it as a cow that should be milked. But not enough people see it as a healthy horse pulling a sturdy wagon. In other words, there is only one sensible and sustainable way to grow your economy, and that is through brave people starting and growing businesses, employing people and creating wealth. Now, some might say, well, we agree with that. But shouldn't we just try and consolidate our success stories in big business and let them be the ones to drive recovery? And yes, of course, those businesses are vitally important. But more important still is the small business, the new, the young, the businesses that haven't even been born yet. Because over and over again, studies show that small, high-growth firms are the engine of new job creation, and they punch way above their weight. So if we want to make our economy stronger, this is where we've got to focus our firepower on encouraging more people to start up and helping small businesses to grow. Now, we've made a start. We're rolling back the bureaucratic, anti-business culture we've had for too many years in this country, and we're creating in its place a real climate for enterprise. Corporation tax has been cut, and we're cutting it further. Red tape has been cut, and we're cutting it further. Enterprise zones have been rolled out, including here in Leeds, to get the best and the brightest to start up. Entrepreneur visas have been brought in to get the brightest in the world to come here with great business ideas. And of course, there's entrepreneur relief, so that those who start their own company can keep a bigger slice of their gains. Now, since the election, more than 500,000 jobs have been created in the private sector. But this is not, and never can be, a case of job done. So today I want to tell you about two new things that we're doing. First, through 2012, we're running a big national campaign to to encourage more people to start up a business. Its core message is simple. There is a business in everyone. So what is the business in you? We need many more people to see themselves as entrepreneurs, to understand that each success story starts with the first step. Anita Roddick, she began the body shop from her kitchen. Richard Branson's mother found a necklace on a train. Clearly didn't give it back to lost property, but sold it for £300. Interesting story, and that was the start-up capital for Virgin. Starbucks kicked off when 3 academics, probably with 4 or 5 opinions between them, wanted a good cup of coffee in their neighbourhood, and they invested a few $1,000s in a cafe. Now, of course, it's not enough just to exhort people to start up. We've got to give them practical help, and that's what this campaign and that's what Startup Britain is all about. If you talk to anyone who's starting a business, and they'll tell you the number one thing they need is obviously money. Now, we get that. That's why we put in place agreements with the banks and targeted government schemes to get more cash flowing to small businesses. The trick is connecting that money to those who need it, and that's where our new online finance finder is going to do. It's a very simple, very useful tool. Just answer a few questions about your business, and the finance finder will tell you where to go to get the money you need. Another thing entrepreneurs need is good advice. Starting a business is one of the hardest, most stressful things that anyone can do. And it's invaluable to know someone who's been there and taken those risks themselves. That's why we're lined up thousands of mentors across the country, and this campaign is going to connect them with the people who need their advice. But beyond those practical things, what entrepreneurs really need is the inspiration to keep on going when things get tough, as they inevitably do. So thanks to Startup Britain, a campaign, as has been said, run by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, they're going to be able to log on and hear the stories of people who've done it all before. Now, all this is coming together in one place, in one campaign, online, and it's going to be a real shot in the arm for enterprise in this country. Now, the second thing we're announcing today is a very simple, very practical idea. It's about using the spare space that we have in the public sector, in the government sector, to help businesses to grow in the private sector. We've heard from so many people who say, well, I've got a great idea. I've got a little bit of startup capital. I'm desperate to get it off the ground, but I can't find the space. Or people who say, I can find the space, but we've got to sign a 3-year lease, and we just can't afford it. And then, of course, you've got many people working in business during the day, or in government during the day, wanting to start a business, but not wanting to misuse their office facilities or office computers. And so what we need is additional space for them, sometimes space at the end of the day or even overnight. What we need is the British equivalent of the Silicon Valley garage, spaces that are cheap, flexible, and available right now. Some of these places are already opening up around the country. In fact, I gave a speech in one of them last week. It's called Hub Westminster. It's at the top of the building that houses New Zealand House, and you can rent an evening desk space there for just £40 a month. Then if you decide to take the plunge, maybe quit your job, start your own thing, you can start renting a full-time desk space and hire more as your business grows. So this is a brilliant idea, and we want to help expand it. Now, the British government has got a huge stock of buildings at our disposal. The first priority for the ones we aren't using is obviously to sell them off, but in the meantime, many are going to be sitting idle. So let's match the capacity we've got in government with the need that is out there. Let's provide office space where we can to those who can use it. So we've sent a message right across the public sector, to government departments, to agencies, saying, give us your unwanted space. That office that has laid dormant for years, the shop that's been boarded up, the rooms no one ever uses, the answer is out there. Give that space to entrepreneurs for business creation. Now, the Department of Communities and Local Government has said they've got 2 floors of an office block in Leeds, a large vacant building in Birmingham, another one in Plymouth. In London, the Department for International Development has also found some space. So we're throwing open the doors of government and letting the entrepreneurs in. And frankly, this won't just be good for the entrepreneurs and the business people involved. I'm hoping it's going to be good for government too. We'll have civil servants who will then be sharing the water coolers, the lifts, the corridors with entrepreneurs, and the entrepreneurs that their policies will affect. And I think this will be a good connection between public and private sectors. It could even be that the building we're in today is available for use. So if you're in Leeds and you've got an idea for a business, it could start right here. This is the very epitome of a roll-your-sleeves-up government, not waffling on about the theory of how we can help business or shuffle a bit of money around, but doing something practical that will really help. So we're doing all this with optimism and confidence, because Britain is a country with enterprise running through its veins. I found this on New Year's Day when my daughter got me out of bed and said, I want to make mince pies. We made some mince pies and she sold them to my protection team for £1 a time. She's only 8 years old. I thought it was a good spark of enterprise. Some of them are still recovering, but nonetheless. But this is the country that led the agricultural revolution, that led the industrial revolution, that helped to kickstart the technological revolution. We're the country that invented the jet engine, the DNA, the World Wide Web, Viagra, almost everything you think of, most of the sports you've ever heard of. We're the country that sells tea to China, vodka to Poland, and yes, cheese to France. Enterprise is what we do in Britain. So this is the year that, more than ever, we've got to go for it. And with Startup Britain's help, and with all your help, that is exactly what we'll do. Thank you very much for listening.